Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're discussing 10 reasons for and against Half-Life 3 being released soon. Be warned, there are major spoilers for the entire series ahead.
I think that I, maybe more than other people, realized just how big of a task we were setting for ourselves. So I was a little bit daunted by that.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 5. Might not. Valve have never made a third game. Valve has numerous series such as Left 4 Dead, Half-Life, Portal, Dota, and Counter-Strike. Something they all have in common is that none of them have third games. Sure, Half-Life 2 Episode 1 is technically the third game in the series, but they conveniently titled it Episode 1. They also notoriously never released Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
We'll see about that.
No one knows why they're so afraid of trilogies. Some think they are focused on other projects like Steam and the Steam Deck. They also like to innovate in all their titles, but it could be difficult to innovate for 3 games in a row. When it comes to Half-Life 3, Valve could feel it's impossible to match the quality of the previous titles. Number 5, might happen. Half-Life Alyx's ending.
She's gone, Gordon. She's gone. Son of a bitch, it has unforeseen consequences.
Half-Life Alyx is considered one of the best VR games of all time, and was the first major entry in the series since 2007. It's set between the first 2 games, showing Alyx's story before Freeman returned to City 17. Towards the end of the game, Alyx frees the G-Man from prison, intending to release Freeman. He gives Alyx a reward of her choice, which is to save her dad Eli from dying, which happens at the end of Episode 2.
I love you, Dad. Close your eyes, honey.
I love you, Dad.
Don't go.
This retcons the ending, which writers said was particularly difficult to follow up. G-Man also captures Alyx, and it ends with Eli and Gordon deciding they must save her, thus opening up the possibility for a new entry with Gordon as the lead.
Come on, Gordon. You got work to do.
Number 4, might not. Valve rarely makes games. In the 2000s, Valve was releasing at least one game a year, except 2002. This was a wildly productive period for them, which saw them become giants of the industry. They still release games, but it's way more rare. Counter-Strike 2 and Half-Life Alyx are their only major releases this decade, and the former felt like just an upgraded version of Global Offensive. It's not like they haven't been working hard though, with the Steam Deck being the most powerful handheld on the market. They also maintain the competitive Counter-Strike and Dota scenes, and obviously they manage Steam, a service used by over 100 million gamers monthly. Number 4, might happen. Half-Life 2 documentary teasing.
My personal failure was being stumped. I couldn't figure out why doing Episode 3 was pushing anything forward.
Their recent Half-Life 2 documentary, celebrating the game's 20th anniversary, had some major hints toward a new entry in the series. Half-Life was a tool for Valve to innovate, which it did wonderfully for its first 2 games. Alyx kept up this trend, being the most innovative VR game to ever release. The documentary ended with Gabe Newell saying there was no shortage of opportunities for innovation in the industry right now.
And I think that there are no shortage of those opportunities facing us as an industry right now.
Either he's trying to motivate another company to come along and innovate, or he's heavily implying that he and the team are cooking something big.
Gameplay innovation is oftentimes enabled by a technological innovation. Clearly there was a ton in Half-Life 1 and 2, and so yeah, it's an interesting challenge moving forward to think about what that means for future Half-Life stuff, for sure.
Number 3 might not. Half-Life 3 story leak in 2017.
I am, at the moment, the designated writer at Valve. I'm responsible for overseeing the script and story elements of the game.
Mark Laidlaw was the lead writer for the Half-Life series, working for Valve right up until 2016 when he left the company. Only a year after leaving, Laidlaw published the story for the next Half-Life title in his blog. It was called Epistle 3, and had all the names changed and gender swapped for copyright reasons. Many thought it was the plan for Half-Life 2 Episode 3, which he denied, but later expressed regret for leaking. It's doubtful that Valve will carry it out as he wrote, especially with the developments of Half-Life Alyx. Some wonder if this leak was enough to put them off continuing the series entirely, but it could have just motivated them to alter the story.
There's no way that the player can predict what's going to happen.
Number 3 might happen. Talking candidly about Episode 3.
Even into Episode 3, I still don't know what that would have been if we'd built it, because it hadn't been built.
Valve is famously secretive about the games they develop. For years, no one knew if Half-Life 3 was ever on the table, and it became a myth. In their recent documentary, they talked more openly about Episode 3 than ever before. It turns out they paused the episode, needing more developers for Left 4 Dead, which was well worth it.
I thought that we needed to go much bigger on Episode 3 or do something else.
Afterwards, they discussed going back to Episode 3, but believed they were too late to put it out. Now, they believe this was a mistake, and wish they'd gone back to the title. The documentary also revealed small snippets of gameplay, concept art, and discussed what they made.
Episode 3 is coming along. It's like, well, what's the new big thing here? It's got to be bigger than all the stuff we just did, even Episode 2.
Number 2 might not. Fear of disappointment.
Get away from them. Shut it down. No. Attempt to shut it down. It's not.
Both the first 2 Half-Life games were incredibly successful. On release, they were both considered the upper echelon of single-player shooters. For years, many believed Half-Life 2 was the greatest game of all time, and 20 years later, it still holds up. Granted, it's probably not still the best, but the argument was credible for a long time. Hence, the expectations for a sequel are immense, and Valve worries they might not live up to them. Thus, many believe this is a strong reason against it ever releasing. On the other hand, Source 2 is finally available, and the engine might deliver the experience fans desire. Number 2 might happen. Hiring more experienced staff.
People who are predominantly known for single-player experiences are being hired at Valve. Level design, concept design, VFX design. They're all joining Valve at a surprising rate.
YouTuber Tyler McVicker has done an admirable job of discovering Half-Life 3 information. He discovered that Valve went on a mass hiring spree early on in the decade. They hired numerous former employees and experienced developers from companies like Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch.
Between the years of 2021 and 2023, Valve has started to hire people from all over the industry, and much faster than before.
They could be hired just to work on Deadlock, but given the other points mentioned today, it's unlikely it's the only game they're working on. McVicker also discovered in the Deadlock files evidence of surface properties being added. This includes heat conductivity and flashpoints, so materials can realistically combust. This is an interesting feature, and McVicker is optimistic it will be used in the next Half-Life title.
Valve is trying to create a simulation of reality that we have not seen before in any Source Engine game, let alone the Half-Life series.
Number 1 might not. Valve's shift in focus.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer Aided Enrichment Center.
Half-Life 3 might not be the next entry they're working on. There's a strong chance it could instead be similar to Alyx and is sort of a spin-off. Their focus could be on taking the series in a different direction, which no one can predict. For example, Portal is set in the same universe as Half-Life, so maybe their next title is something new entirely, which could blend the two series.
plug me into that stick on the wall over there, yeah? And I'll show you something. You'll be impressed by this.
The direction could be even more unpredictable, with them seeking to drift away from the previously planned Arctic expeditions. There's also the chance it's an entirely new series, but only time will tell.
We're working on a bunch of different projects, and it's like, you know, people are passionate about Portal, people are passionate about TF, people are passionate about Left 4 Dead and Half-Life and, you know, CS and Dota, Deadlock. I mean, there's a lot of things there.
Number 1 might happen. Half-Life 2's newest update.
So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
After 20 years, a brand new update for Half-Life 2 was released, coinciding with the anniversary documentary. It includes in-game workshop support, updated graphics, and it's integrated the episodes into the original game. Additionally, they're currently working to introduce ray tracing to the title, which would give it an amazing graphical overhaul. They could just be doing this because they love the game, but a lot of people feel they're teasing something more. If they're going to make Half-Life 3, then surely it makes sense to test their new engine out first. And this update just might be that.
I think you dropped this back in Black Mesa. Good luck out there, buddy. You're gonna need it.
Do you think Half-Life 3 is finally on the horizon, or are we just setting ourselves up to be disappointed? Leave your thoughts in the comments.
Oh, we're losing it again.
The man I saw, I'm all but certain it was Gordon Freeman.
Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.